Hello and welcome. So today we are going to be discussing three fragrances that were just launched not too long ago. But the interesting thing about these three fragrances is that they were so hyped even before the launch. You couldn't go anywhere. You could go on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and there was always someone talking about them. So of course, you guys did request that I review these three fragrances. One of them I had told you during a Saturday morning chatty scent corner that I was going to pick up because I was so excited to try it. But the other two, I was kind of like on the fence. But so many of you requested that I review them that I decided to pick them up. And they did sound kind of interesting and I was kind of curious. So today I'm going to give you a detailed review. We're going to talk about these three fragrances because I have quite a bit to say about each. And it is so hot here. So, I have my little like break to the side today because I don't know about where you live, but here in Georgia, it is like smoldering hot. So I'm going to try and stay. I have like a fan running above me. So if you see a little hair flying, oh well, because it's just really hot. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in. But before we do so, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. So I hope you guys can see everything fine today because as I said, it's so hot that I brought down the lights because these lights are really, really something once they get going. But anyway, let's go ahead and start with the first one and let me go ahead and wipe my little fingerprints off of it. But this one is from Ellis, Brooklyn, and this is Queen's Caramel. And let me go ahead and share with you this stunningly beautiful bottle. Now, this is a fragrance that was just launched and I have had the chance to use it for like a day and a half. The day that I picked it up, I sprayed it on and I left it on the rest of the day. And then I sprayed it on, another day for a full day test. So I haven't had a chance to use it like a lot, but I can clearly tell you what I'm picking up and my thoughts and, all the details that you're typically looking for. So to me, this is a woody gourmand, and it is one of those fragrances that's in the realm of like a Bianco latte, in my opinion. I'm not saying that it's Bianco latte, okay? I'm just saying that to me, in my humble opinion, it's in the same realm as Bianco latte, Manny Casanat. Is it the same fragrance? No, absolutely not. But we just want to make sure that you understand that if you have those fragrances, you may not need to get this one. But let's go ahead and jump into the details. So for me, Queen's Caramel is like a woody gourmand. It is truly a gourmand fragrance. For me, this is not gourmandish. No, this is truly for someone who enjoys a gourmand fragrance. And it is a very lovely fragrance. I will tell you that right now. The only thing that doesn't have me very impressed is that we've seen this scent profile over and over and over. Now, there is an attraction to this fragrance or a reason to be excited about this fragrance if you don't have one of the other fragrances that I mentioned before, like a Bianco Latte range fragrance, because this is at a better price point. And it is of exceptional quality. Truly, I have never been disappointed by an Ellis Brooklyn fragrance, and this one is no exception. So Queen's Caramel opens up in a very dense manner. And let me explain that. So it is very sweet. Not sickly or cloying, but it is very sweet. And I immediately pick up on the note of honey. But the honey here is not the dominant note, but it is very, very present. In that opening, in that sweetness, what I am getting is the honey, as I said before, but I'm also getting a very dominant salted caramel. Now, to my nose, that salted caramel is going to be with you all throughout the olfactory journey, at the dry down, and throughout the wear of the fragrance. It's not going anywhere. And it is definitely a salted caramel. It is creamy, it is a little bit dense, and And there is a syrupy quality to this fragrance that's part of that denseness. But this is definitely a dense fragrance that, while not being cloying, if you wear it in the wrong weather, it could be quite cloying. I can tell you right now that this is not a fragrance that I think that you should pull during the summer season, for example, on a very hot summer day. No, because this can be quite a bit overwhelming. Now, as the journey continues, that denseness that I pick up gives me a hint of coconut. I'm not getting a lot of coconut, but when I do get coconut here, it is a coconut that is like toasted. And in this fragrance, I pick up like a smoky quality. And I think that that tad of a smoky quality is coming from that note of coconut, because the coconut that I pick up here is not creamy. It's like flaky, like roasted coconut, truly. I don't pick up on the white chocolate. I do pick up on a tad of the florals, primarily the jasmine, but that's about it. And the jasmine, while present, it is kind of faint and in the background at all times. As you approach the dry down, the fragrance does become increasingly like more vanillic caramelly, and I know that that's because the tonka is at the base. And I clearly pick up on the tonka. But at all that, the dominant note to my nose in this fragrance is that salted caramel. And is there like a maple tint to this fragrance? Because I've heard a couple of people say that. I don't pick up maple syrup at all in this fragrance. What I am picking up is a very dominant salted caramel. So to me, the star of this fragrance is definitely the salted caramel. This is also a musk-based fragrance, but I will barely pick up on the musk. Do I get the musk? Kind of faint. This is really not about the musk either, in my opinion. This is really about that entire caramelly effect. I have no other way to explain it. It is like the caramel opens the fragrance with that saltiness. It's a salted caramel, like the type of salted caramel that you have, you know, in a dessert that you order at a restaurant, or if you do salted caramel at home. It is creamy, it is dense, you know, it is just very, very present. And in addition to that, I pick up on some semblance of a floral presence, but very faint, as I said before. So at the dry down, what I am getting is like a very dense, without necessarily being cloying, caramel-centric scent that has a very present vanilla, because the vanilla does play an important role here, on a background of a very faint musk. That is all that I'm getting. The scent of this at the dry down is that of salted caramel. That is really what I am getting. And at that salted caramel has a smoky quality to it. And I'm telling you, I really think it's coming from the coconut. I think that this is a fragrance that will be best suited for the seasons of fall, winter, and spring. You can definitely wear this fragrance, in my opinion, all throughout the spring season. Whether it's a warmer spring day, or a cooler spring day, all throughout spring you can wear this fragrance. But once you enter those serious summer months, I just know this is not a fragrance that I will pull during a very hot summer day. And maybe that's why I didn't use it more before giving you this review, because to me it's like anticlimactic to wear it right now. That's just how I pick it up on skin and on paper. Now, this is a fragrance that is performing reasonably well, right in line to what I get from any other Ellis Brooklyn fragrance. It's giving me 6 to 7 hours if I don't overspray and if I don't reapply it. It gives me a strong projection during about the first hour plus, and after that, it does become a skin scent. And by the 6-hour mark, it's a very intimate skin scent. To me, this is a fragrance that is unisex, but leaning heavy to the feminine side. Can I see a gentleman wearing this? Absolutely, because you guys know what I believe. Just wear what you want, when you want, and how you want, right? And this is truly a gourmand. And to me, a true gourmand is really very universal, very versatile, as long as you're into a gourmand, because this one will make you smell like food, but you are going to smell like a very nicely done salted caramel. There is no oud in this fragrance, and I believe that this is best suited for all ages. This is really a fragrance that, in my opinion, has really no age limitations. All in all, I think that this is a very nice release coming from Ellis Brooklyn. They don't have anything like this in their range of fragrances, so I think that this is a very, well thought and strategic move in their part. But at the end of the day, I will tell you, if you own Bianco Latte or you own any of those other fragrances, whether they're in Western niche or in Middle Eastern, if you own any of those fragrances that remind you of Bianco Latte or that are within that Bianco Latte scent profile, then this is not a fragrance for you, unless you are one of those fan members that just loves a gourmand and is totally into this scent profile, and you just want to keep adding this type of fragrance to your collection because this is really what you're into. This is a very nicely done fragrance, don't misinterpret me, but I just want to make sure that you understand that, in my opinion, if you have this scent profile, this would be totally redundant because, yeah, that's really what it is for me. But as I said before, to me, this is very nicely done, and I give it an 8 out of 10. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 because I wish it would perform a tad better. I mean, I think that the performance is quite reasonable, but I wish it would perform a tad better. And of course, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because it's really not groundbreaking. Like, if you're a gourmand lover, I'm sure, very sure, that you have not one but multiple fragrances in your collection that are just like this one. But at all that, I think that for this price point, okay, this is a very, very solid new release coming from the house of Ellis Brooklyn. So the next fragrance that I want to discuss with you is coming from Rare Beauty by Selena Gomez, and this is Rare. And look at this very interesting and different bottle design. Very, very creative. Now, if you look there, you can see that there's like a lock, and that's because you are able to lock and unlock the fragrance, which is a very nice addition to this bottle. Very, very different concept, but coming from Selena, I'm really not shocked because I have had such good experiences with all of her products, right? Specifically with makeup. And I have to tell you that I really, really do enjoy her products. And I was very curious about this fragrance, but then somehow when I read the notes, I thought, this is not going to be necessarily a groundbreaking fragrance for me, so I may just pass on it. But as I said in the opening, you guys requested this review so much that I just ended up picking it up. And I must say that this is a very, very lovely fragrance. But I have a lot to say. So let me just start by saying that as soon as I sprayed this fragrance, it reminded me of two fragrances. YSL Libre, the original, right? Not the Intense, no, the OG. And it also reminded me incredibly of Burberry Goddess. Another thing that I wanted to say, and these are just my observations before I even jump into the olfactory journey and other details of, of a regular review. The other thing that I wanted to say is that for me, it has not been disclosed, but I am clearly picking up on the note of lavender. It has not been disclosed, but I could swear that there is lavender in this fragrance. If you've tried this fragrance, do you pick up on lavender here? Because I certainly do, but I could be totally wrong. It could be just, an accord that's coming out of another combination of notes, and it's giving me lavender to my nose and on my skin and on paper, because it's giving me lavender everywhere, but hey, I could be totally wrong. Now, I want to be clear that just because it reminds me of Burberry Goddess and of Libre, that does not mean that I'm saying that this is a clone or a dupe, or that I think that it's copying it. No, that is not what I'm saying. I am just saying that this fragrance at first sniff immediately reminded me of those two fragrances. It was an immediate reaction. But let's talk more about the journey and we'll get more into the details. So this is a fragrance that opens up with a very strong vanilla presence. From the get-go, it immediately sets the tone to allow you to understand that this is a vanilla-centric fragrance. But at that, it also opens to my nose very fresh, spicy, with a very present pink pepper note. The fragrance is sweet, not very sweet, but it is a sweet fragrance from first sniff and all throughout the wear of the fragrance. It is a sweet fragrance. It is also a musk-based fragrance, and typically I wait till I'm talking to you about the dry down to bring up the muskiness, but this is a very musky fragrance. This is to the tune of like a 4 out of 5, with 5 being the most and 1 being the least. To my nose and on paper, this is a very musky fragrance, but it's a very smoothly done musk, and it is not animalic in any kind of way. So there are a couple of notes that have been disclosed in this fragrance that I do want to make sure that I talk about. So the first one is the ginger. I get ginger from the opening of the fragrance, and it is, to my nose, part of that fresh spiciness that the fragrance opens up with, because the amount of vanilla here is such that if it didn't have that ginger and that pink pepper, then the fragrance would open up quite dense just with that vanilla and the sweetness, and then it could have taken the chance of being a little bit cloying. That's just my opinion. The other thing is that they have disclosed the note of pistachio, but I'm not picking up on the pistachio. I'm not picking up on nuttiness stemming from a note of pistachio or any other nut whatsoever. I'm just not getting pistachio at any point. Another note that has been shared is the note of cocoa, but I'm not getting the cocoa. What I am getting as we approach the dry down is quite a bit of woodiness in the background. Not dominant woodiness, but there is definite woodiness in this fragrance. And again, I am picking up on florals. They have not been disclosed, but I am picking up on florals, specifically lavender. But again, I could be totally wrong. Is this coming across as a floral fragrance to me? No, it is not. Okay, to me, this fragrance is all about the vanilla combined with those fresh, spicy qualities coming and stemming from the ginger and specifically the pink pepper. I pick up the pink pepper all throughout the olfactory journey. At the dry down, the pink pepper takes like a back seat right along with the ginger, but the fragrance remains fresh, spicy on my skin and on paper. And I do get that very present woodiness that I was not picking up at the beginning of the olfactory journey. To me, this fragrance is a very nicely done fragrance, truly. This is, to me, completely mass appealing, a very, very safe blind buy as long as you're okay with the notes and the accords that I discussed with you earlier. Very, very safe blind buy. This is an all year, all ages, but totally feminine fragrance. I cannot imagine a gent wearing this fragrance at any point. To me, this is a very versatile fragrance that you could probably use for any occasion, day or night. You could take it to the office. You could even make it your signature scent. Any season, any occasion, any age. Very, very versatile fragrance. Again, to me, this was designed to be mass appealing and to be a very versatile and easy to pull and use kind of fragrance with a very, very beautiful scent, because it truly is a beautiful fragrance. But the performance of this fragrance to me is reasonable. It's not necessarily very good. It's just okay, because I get 6 hours, no more than that from this fragrance. No matter what I do, I only get 6 hours. And I do get a strong projection during kind of like the first hour. After that, it does become a skin scent, but by hour 4, it's become a very intimate skin scent that will take me to that 6th hour. But that is all you're going to get from this fragrance, because that's what I'm picking up on paper and on my skin. All in all, I think that this is a very nice release coming from Rare Beauty. But at that, you know, I had more of an expectation from this fragrance, because again, you know, it's been my experience with Rare Beauty that when they launch something, it just really like takes over some other product that I have in my collection. But this fragrance, I think, is perfect for someone who doesn't have Angham in their collection from you know, the affordable Middle Eastern fragrances, or someone who doesn't have Burberry Goddess, or someone who doesn't have any of the Libres, because this is in the same realm. So unless you know you are truly into this scent profile and you just wanted to pick this up because it's a very reasonable price point, I will give them that. This is beautifully done and at an incredible price point. Truly, this is very, very good. But if you have any of those fragrances, I think that this would be redundant in your collection. Other than that, I think you're going to fall in love with this fragrance for sure. I am very, very pleased with this release. Is it for me? It's not, but that's because of the collection that I have. But if you don't have that level of a collection where you have, again, Burberry and Libre and others, then this is a very, very incredible alternative, very affordable, very nicely done, of very good quality. You can just get a decant and respray yourself if you need it to last more than 6 hours. But at this price point, I honestly think you cannot ask for more. Very, very nicely done, very exquisitely elegant and streamlined packaging. Just very nice. Personally, considering everything in the price point, I give this one a 7 out of 10. All right, so next we're going to move on to a fragrance which is my favorite from this lineup today. And I have really been looking forward to sharing this fragrance with you. And this one is the latest from Marc Jacobs, specifically to the Perfect line. And this is Marc Jacobs Perfect Absolute. So I have an unboxing here on the channel where I show you in detail the cap, because the cap itself is like a piece of art. I don't know if you can clearly see it there, but it is absolutely exquisite. The level of detail is just mind-boggling. But let's talk about this fragrance. First of all, let me say two things. For me, right now, this is my favorite from the Perfect line. At all that, to me, this takes a different path than other Perfect fragrances within this entire line. While it has kind of the same DNA, it really does have kind of the same DNA, there are some differences that I'm going to share with you as I speak to the olfactory journey. But the most important thing that I want you to know is that it has not been disclosed, but I am picking up on the note of cherry in the opening so clearly, it is just wow. Truly, I am picking up on the note of cherry. The other thing that I did want to share with you is that compared to the others, and you guys know that I have like 3 others from this line, but compared to the others, I would say that this is the sexy one. This is not designed for you to wear it necessarily during a summer day. Like if you pick it up now, you could ask me, well, Arahi, can I still use it during the summer season? You can. But to me, this is a fragrance that is designed for late afternoon, very, very late afternoon into the evening and into late night. This is a different level perfect, right? Truly. But let's talk more about the olfactory journey. So this is a fragrance that opens up very sweet. It's not sickly sweet, but it is a fragrance that opens up to my nose very sweet. And to my nose, I am getting fruitiness. I am telling you, I'm picking up clearly on the note of cherry. But the star of the opening of this fragrance is truly the fig. The cherry gives you like a burst of cherry, and I'm just going to keep saying that because that's what I'm getting, guys. I'm sorry. So it gives me like a burst of cherry in the opening. And then after that immediate burst of cherry, the cherry takes like a step to the side and allows the fig to come, like center stage and take the entire stardom, because the fig is truly the star of this fragrance. Now that fig to me is like a caramelized kind of fig, because that sweetness in the opening is clearly coming from the note of caramel. There is no confusing it. This is not sugar. This is not anything else. It's really like a caramelized fig kind of accord. Now, as the journey continues, the floral aspect of the fragrance introduces itself. And it's at that point that I pick up on that perfect DNA that we've come to appreciate. Regardless of what notes they shift from one release to the other, there is an inherent DNA to the perfect collection, right? And I do pick it up like midway in the olfactory journey when the white florals come in. And I say white florals because I'm not just picking up on the jasmine, which is what they have disclosed. I am picking up on a bouquet of white florals where the jasmine does peek through. From that bouquet, the jasmine does peek through. It's not faint, but it's not like the jasmine is very dominant, because to me, it's more about the blend of those white florals. In addition to that, As you approach the dry down, the fragrance does become very ambery. It's been ambery from like midway in the olfactory journey, but at the dry down, it is truly an ambery fragrance. And that's where a certain level of denseness comes into this fragrance, letting you know that this is not designed to be a daytime, casual, any occasion, gym or otherwise type of fragrance. No, no. This is not necessarily a formal event fragrance. No, this is more about the time of the day fragrance. This is late afternoon into evening into the nighttime type of fragrance. And at that, there is a touch of a sexy vibe to this fragrance. Would I call this a sexy beast? No. Is this like a sexy type of fragrance, period? No. It is sexy. There is a level of sensuality that stems from the scent of this fragrance, but it's not a full-on beast sexy fragrance. To me, this is also a fragrance that I think is best suited for any season except during the day, during the summer. I think that you could pull this off perfectly well, at night during the summer season when those smoldering temperatures have come down a bit. It doesn't necessarily have to be cool, but it needs to be like nighttime, because during a very hot summer day, I think this would be a bit much. Now, this is going to be perfection to transition you from the summer into the fall for sure. And come the fall and winter and spring seasons, you can use it for anything that you want to use it for, and maybe even for any time of the day. I mean, whatever works for you is what you need to do truly. But I just think personally, I would really keep this fragrance more for late afternoon, into the evening, and into the night. I pick up on absolutely no oud and no musk in this fragrance. This is not one that I would take to the office either. There is just something about it that gives me another vibe. It doesn't give me casual wear, pull and wear all day type of fragrance, but I will tell you that it does perform very well because it does give me a full day wear. It is by no means a beast mode fragrance whatsoever, but it's not a faint one or one that lacks in performance. It is giving me a full day wear, which would be between 7 to 8 hours with a very strong projection during the first 90 minutes, no more than that, and a moderate sillage. Definitely a compliment getter, because as soon as I sprayed it, my husband asked me, what was I wearing? So this is a fragrance that is definitely going to pull. But then if you're familiar with the Perfect line from Marc Jacobs, you're not going to be surprised, because typically the scent of a perfect fragrance from Marc Jacobs will pull and will get you compliments. To me, this is a very, very solid release coming from the house of Marc Jacobs. And I think that this is a very smart, again, and very strategic addition to this collection. I think that we did need a fragrance such as this one. I just wonder why they did not display cherry, because I am picking up again on a fruitiness in the opening that includes the note of cherry. And to me, it is very clear. I could be completely wrong, but I really do believe that I am picking up on the note of cherry. And at that, it is not a very dark cherry. It's a very fruity, juicy, and sweet kind of cherry. All in all, I am very, very happy that I picked up this fragrance, and I definitely give this one a 9 out of 10.
All right, fam. So we have reached the end of this video, and I apologize, but my recording card was corrupted, so I have to end the video this way. But as always, thank you so much for hanging with me, and I will see you all in the next video.